You're good. All right, good evening. The time is 6:04 p.m. It is Monday, September 19th, 2022. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Argyle ISD Board of Trustees. At this time, we'll determine if a quorum is present.
Leona McDade, present.
Josh Westrom, present.
Richie Deffenbaugh, present. Matt Slayton, present.
Craig Hawksworth, present.
John Bitter, present.
And I, Sam Slayton, present. We do have a quorum established. The time is still 6:04 p.m. and we will adjourn to executive session. All right, good evening. The time is 7:19 p.m. We have returned from executive session. At this time, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, and also, apparently the fiber line got cut between here and Ponder, so we are not live streaming tonight. There is no internet. There's supposed to be internet restored by 10 p.m. So, for those of if you have family or friends at home that are trying to live stream, it's not happening, but Mr. Rick Herron here is posting as many live updates as he can via Twitter. Is that what we're doing? All right, we're tweeting. Okay. All right, this moment we'll have this time we'll have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to start off with some special recognition. We're going to start off with the Argyle girls varsity golf team.
Well, the certificates are in that other room. Can you get the certificates, I think, where we were meeting?
Okay. All right, first, thank you. Thank you all for all of your support. Ladies, why don't you come right over here? We'll shake their hands in a second. That way everybody can see your face. Listen, real quick, I just want to go through. I've got Madison Wirt. Stand up. Say hello to everybody. I've got Lauren Justice. Ryan Krasinski. We've got two young ladies. Of course, we do this in May, so this is always right at the end of school. We've got a young lady at the University of Mississippi, Miss Katie Garner, and then we've got Claire Jensen, who's at UT Arlington. So both of those ladies are off in their freshman year of school, but we finished this up in May, and it's a pleasure to be here, and we appreciate y'all's recognition.
Coach Moses, they might not know what you finished up in May. What's those fancy necklaces you got?
Oh, that's a great thing. Ladies, y'all can stand up. So you can see a couple of these ladies have two. All right, Ryan was a freshman and joined us last year, but we completed a back-to-back state championship run last year. These ladies were 2 strokes down going into the second day, and then ran away. I think we won. We ended up winning by 17 strokes. So we did the 17. This is slightly technical.
You might want to mention that.
Can we get a photo with the board with the girl team?
We're not quite ready yet. I want to talk about the coach a little bit.
Audible.
Coach Moses was the Texas Girls Coaches Association Class 1A through 4A Girls State Golf Coach of the Year for 21. And also, Coach Moses and Cody Vanderford's not here, but Coach Vanderford, they were both North Texas High School Golf Coaches Association Coaches of the Year in 21-22. State, everything from 1A through 4A. That's monumental. We're very, very proud. So I want to give you the girls team, if you ladies would come up, and then we're going to take pictures with the board. This is for the Argyle girls golf team, congratulating you on being the state champions in 21-22.
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
Would y'all come join us for a
Yeah, we're going to come to the front.
Great work. You do lessons?
Yeah, we're not done yet.
Dr.
Not
Wright's
done
gonna
yet.
Talk first. So.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jason Bird. I'm the director of bands at Argyle ISD. It is my honor to present Dr. Wright with a certificate of appreciation as a distinguished administrator from the Texas Music Educators Association. TMEA recognizes upper-level school administrators across the state who have been instrumental in preserving quality music education programs on their campuses and in their districts. It is crucial that we highlight the many successes present in schools across our state, from districts with only a single elementary, middle, and high school to those with multiple 6A campuses. Administrators have great influence over a program's opportunity for success. TMEA has the opportunity at the state level to thank administrators for their dedication and all of their support. So on behalf of all the music students, kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, we thank you for everything, Dr. Wright, and TMEA is recognizing you. And it says, in gratitude and with respect awards, Dr. Talina Wright an honorable distinction as a TMEA Distinguished Administrator for outstanding commitment to preserving quality music education experiences for all students.
The music teachers doing this for me. I got this letter in the U.S. mail, and I started reading it, and I thought, this is really amazing. It was from TMEA, and it was for being a distinguished administrator, and I thought, what an honor. And then I called Mr. Berger over the phone, and I think he was kind of, maybe he didn't know for sure if I was going to know about it, or it was kind of a surprise, but he didn't take personal credit. He said that there were several of the music educators in the district who had gone together to do this. And then I just started Googling all the people that have gotten it, and finding out that this is really a very high-level award. So I'm very, very humbled to get this, and I'm very grateful. I'm an 8-year band person myself, and when I went to my 50th, yes, you did hear that correctly, 50th high school class reunion, our band director from our high school years, Jay Weldon Moore, did actually come, and all the people from our class were so honored to have him there at that reunion. So band forms lifelong relationships, lifelong social opportunities, as well as talent being exercised and exhibited. So I can't say enough about the music programs, whether it's choir, theater. Of course, theater is fine arts, not music, but band, choir, and how much that means to me personally, how much it means to this district. So very heartfelt thanks for this. Thank you so much.
All right, my name is Michael Pritchard. I am the president of the Argyle Education Foundation, and we generally do the big check after they let me talk, but we're going to do it now so we can get these guys sitting back down and not have them stand up for the next 5 minutes or so. So we've got a big check. So the board can come up here. We take a picture. So we have $100,000 that was donated, was given to the Argyle Independent School District from AEF. And then we've got another $17,725 that was given to each campus, well, not each campus, but in total to campus grants. So after we take the pictures, everybody that came to see me, you get to hear me talk for a little bit.
I think so.
One person's saying don't breathe. He's running his mouth back there.
I promise to keep this as painless and short as we possibly can. Again, my name is Michael Pritchard. I'm the president of the Argyle Education Foundation. A little bit about the mission and purpose of the Argyle Education Foundation. Its sole mission is to support the Argyle Independent School District. That's it. Everything that we do is to benefit the school district and to benefit the kids. We do that through just keeping to our vision and our goals. So our goals is to provide funds for programs and activities to broaden student educational development and enrichment, promote innovative and creative learning by providing grants and incentives to benefit Argyle ISD. And I think one of the most important ones that we have is provide an avenue for the business and the community to be involved in the educational needs of the school district. One of my favorite things is the history of the AEF. So it was put together in February of 2003. So we're sitting at 20 years of service to the school district. And in that 20 years, we've distributed over $2 million to the Argyle Independent School District, which I think is a major accomplishment. And I plan on doing a whole lot more of that in the near future. So on average, we have between 18 and 22 people, from the staff and from the community that really make this happen. These are the workhorses behind the AEF. These are the workhorses that put together the gala, to help with the chili cook-off, and all the other activities that the Argyle Education Foundation puts together to help fundraise for the school district. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's on the board, on the slide here, and everybody that's served in the past. Investments. So high level, our investments are managed by CFO for Life. So we have just under $800,000 that we have for investments that covers AEF operations, grants, supporting the Argyle Independent School District. So these are our amounts as of August of 2022, and they also support the scholarships as well. Some great programs. On the wall over here, you'll see the plaque. These are plaques of names of the teachers that have received the Golden Eagle Teacher Excellent Award. So we have teachers from each campus that get this award, and then we have the Elementary Teacher of the Year and then the Secretary Teacher of the Year as well. We have 3 scholarships that are given up to, we have 3 scholarships that we give $1,000 each to, and I think one of the most popular ones is at the end of year staff luncheon. We gave out 300 gift cards, which I think that kicked them off for their summer in style. So last year in the gala, coming off of COVID, last year in the gala I think was a huge success. We raised $150,000. That allows us to continue funding STEM. And then we have partnered with CoServe with campus grants for each campus just over $3,500. Now last year with the employee giving program, we had just under 50%, so 42% participation. I think that we're going to be above that this year, so I'd love to break the 50% marker, and that helped us raise an additional $12,000. So what's next? This is my favorite part. So the chili cook-off and Mac-Down. So this is going to be our 5th year of the chili cook-off and Mac-Down. This is our number one, what we call a friends raiser. This is where we want the community to come out and understand what AEF does, what AEF is, and know that it's the Argyle Education Foundation. I've had many people that I've talked to that I said, hey, you want to think about AEF? If you want to donate for the chili cook-off? And they're asking, what's AEF? So this is our big opportunity to help promote the Argyle Education Foundation. We are moving it from Unity Park over to the front porch and Harvest. Primarily reason, it's a bigger space and they've got more plugs to plug in crock pots. So hopefully we're going to get all those plugs filled up. And then the gala. I'm really excited about this one. This is our 20th year anniversary gala. It's going to be at the Embassy Suites in Denton. So please reserve this day on your calendar. You know, the hotel bookings are going to be coming open soon where we get block scheduling so you can book the hotel in case you have a good night and you don't want to drive home. You can go right up to your room. And that way you can spend lots of money. So please put both of those on your calendar. These are events that anybody from out here to the board members, we'd love to have the participation there, and we would love to have the Argyle Education Foundation name out there. So if you haven't followed us on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, take a look at the website. Please take a look at that. You have updates that we give out there, and then we will have more information on the gala and the chili cook-off. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those. We already did the fun thing with the checks.
Michael, let me say, I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate what Amy's done and all the board members have done. I mean, it's not lost on me what it's like to go out there and ask people for money. And it's a difficult thing to do, and y'all do it well. And it's amazing that you can raise the amount of money you did last year at the gala, $150,000. You turn around and you write this district a check for $117,000. So that's an amazing thing. I don't know if foundations do that, but you're pouring money right back in that you're taking in. So it's a great place to put your money, and I'd encourage everybody to get behind y'all.
Thank you, Josh.
And I'd just like to speak on behalf of the district and the instructional staff for the district, how much we appreciate the money that's being put into the STEM program as well as the campuses.
I was gonna say, you know me, I'm with you guys every month.
She's there every Monday, or every month. We
Every
appreciate
month.
it.
And I can just tell you from sitting with this wonderful group of people back there that they are absolutely 110% committed to the education of the kids in this district, particularly STEM education. And every single thing they do, everything that they talk about, every conversation that they have is strictly for that. And I am honored to be a part of your group every month, and I really appreciate what you guys do, what you accomplish, and what you do for the kids in this district.
Yeah. And I echo as a former past president of AAF that it's just a wonderful organization being able to give back to this district as much as y'all do, and the passion you have to just get out there and serve our community and our kids, and truly be able to enhance the educational opportunity for the kids in this district. It's invaluable. So we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank
you. I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everyone, follow along on Twitter. I'm just kidding. Rick, I'm just holding you accountable over there, so, okay. All right, we're gonna do our public forum at this point. To get everyone in our allotted time, we're going to do 3 minutes tonight for each person. I apologize in advance. If I mispronounce your last name, please correct me. I will not take offense, but I do apologize in advance if I mispronounce your last name. Mr. Hawksworth here, board secretary, is going to be keeping track of time. He will let you know when you have 1 minute left. Please know, due to board policy, we do not ask any questions, make any comments. And once I introduce you to the days, you can come and begin your 3 minutes. So, all right, we will start with Heather Snow.
Hi there, my name is Heather Snow. I am a resident of Argyle and have 2 daughters that are in the district. In addition to that, I am a trained educator, have a background in counseling education. I have been thrilled to be a resident of Argyle and to have my girls in this district. I see every day at the university level the impact that policies have on our students who come to us from K through 12 districts that don't respect their varying identities. So I was so excited to come to a district that seemed to embrace all of their students. This school year has brought a number of concerning policies home from my daughters. The first is that my high schooler came home very concerned that her middle school sister would not be allowed to go by her nickname she's gone by since birth because she goes by Charlie. And Charlie Mom is a gendered nickname. And she can't use that, or you're gonna have to sign permission that says that she can. That works for my kids because they don't struggle with gender identity concerns and because I am an open and loving parent. Not all children have the benefit of that. I'd ask the board and I'd ask our principals to consider the impact that policy has on students that are struggling with gender identity concerns, who don't have supporting households, who go home, and we know that our LGBTQ children commit suicide at a rate that far exceeds other adolescents. And I see them on my campus as a university administrator all the time. And I don't want Argyle to be the next one in the bucket of South Lake Carroll, of Keller, of Grapevine Colleyville that pass policies that inhibit our youth from truly expressing themselves. The second, and that hit a little bit more close to home, is that my middle schooler came home very excited after the first day of school, thrilled to tell me that there was a sticker on the counseling door that said, "Everyone welcome here." A great message, everyone welcome here. But then I saw on my local resident page someone bragging about the fact that we won. We got them to take the sticker down. Because did you know that a rainbow inherently expresses sexual desires? That same day that I saw that on my local resident page, my 4-year-old was dressed head to toe rainbow as she went to school to celebrate her 4th birthday. There's nothing inherently sexual about a rainbow. But the message that it shared to our middle schoolers is that they could walk in that counseling door and get the support that they might need. The support that they're not getting from their peers and they're not getting from one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Danica, please pronounce it to me.
Donica Kostolnik, but it's
Donica Kostolnik. I apologize.
So I'm just going to follow up shortly what Heather said. I'm a little upset about the policy, and let me just tell you what policy she's talking about, because it kind of was under the radar. So there was an email that floated around that said if a student initiates a request to change his or her name to another name commonly used with a gender other than the student's biological gender, and requests to have his or her pronouns they, them, this request may only be honored with signed permission from the parent. The student will have to initiate a request for the change through the counselor who will contact the parent. The rest of it is I agree with. So any transcript or grades will remain in the legal name. So that's all fine. But I don't think we should be outing children. Just like she said, I think that that's between the kid and their parents. And I don't think I want a counselor coming to tell me that my kid wants to be a different gender. I think I want to hear it from them. And I think that the alarming rate that these kids are suiciding themselves just because we don't respect their pronouns or the name they wish to be called is alarming. And I'm really proud of this district. I've been here for a couple years now, that we've stayed out of the national headlines. I'd like to keep it that way. I also want the sticker back on the door. But I really want it to stop here. Like, let's not be South Lake, let's not be Keller, let's not be Grapevine. I moved from there, it's awful. Kids they deserve better. That's all.
Thank you. Marla Hawksworth. Mrs. Hawksworth, I'm actually going to be keeping time for you, so there's no conflict here.
I'm going to talk fast so that I keep it under the time.
Time's up.
Stop it.
Couldn't resist. Come on.
The time's yours.
Thank you for serving our students and staff at the capacity that you do. This board has done an excellent job of maintaining the education that we all expect for our kids while never taking your finger off the pulse of change and fast growth. We've been watching the political unrest and the unconscionable use of children in our schools as battlegrounds for hot topics and subject matter that kids should never fall victim to. But it's happening all around us, and it's important that this board hears from parents on a regular basis that we support you in protecting our children from confusion, from wokeism, from critical race theory, and the like. This world creates confusion for so many kids, and it is our job as adults in their lives to assist them and deliver them out of confusion, not usher them further into a tailspin that it creates. As a mom, my heart bleeds for students that are struggling with their identity or pronoun choices, But for a school district to knowingly and actively assist a student down these paths while excluding their parents from the conversation or even just keeping parents completely in the dark altogether is not okay and cannot be a standard for this district, nor has it ever been. I appreciate the amazing work that the counselors are doing on a daily basis to recognize a cry for help or need for attention within individual students. It is equally important, and maybe even more so, to monitor the health of the masses within the classrooms. What I mean by this is who's asking the questions about what it does to the majority of kids who watch incorrect pronoun usage and name changes happening before their eyes? What does it do to their worlds? Is biology now suddenly debatable? Are the things they've always been taught and known in this district from K on up truly, suddenly not true? Do they look in the mirror and question, who am I? And does anybody care who I am? These are the masses, not the minorities. We need to constantly be reminded that the academic accolades of this district are completely connected and driven by the families alongside educators, but most importantly, it's about the current mental health of our students. I'll finish with this. It's important that we are very transparent during the hiring process with staff and teachers. Educators want to be here. Argyle is a destination for educators. It is not a pass-through to build a resume. We want teachers to be happy with this decision to be here, and we want them to be incredibly thankful to be here and have the opportunity to teach our kids. And most of them are. We cannot make the mistake of hiring an employee that is going to find themselves in an environment that is not conducive with their own moral compass. It creates an employee who constantly fights the system with an agenda that is not aligned with our taxpayers and families. Our focus must be on protecting the minds and children of our children and our students at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Prater, you're up. We're going to switch back to Mr. Hawksworth.
Well, first of all, first time at a board meeting, so excited to be here. But we are proud to partner with AISD and residents and actively engaged parents here in our community. And we just want to thank you guys for providing a world-class education as well as our extracurricular activity events that we have here at Argyle ISD. Obviously, looking at the slides of our Lone Star Cup, 12 years running. You guys are preparing children, you're preparing students for college, for life after high school. We want to thank you guys for doing that. We stand here in support today of Argyle ISD in so many different ways. And one of the things I want to talk about here today, as my computer died here. Hold on one second. Today we want to ensure that the board continues to uphold the educational values, codes, laws, ordinances in all areas of the school by holding our leaders and all the district accountable to all materials, lessons, books, videos, websites, conversations, and personal views. We ask that anything related to the following categories be examined and many of them excluded from district usage. Those would include social and identity politics, diversity, equity, and inclusion, critical race theory and critical social justice, sexual and gender ideology, including the use of pronouns, furries, drag queens, minor attracted persons, marginalization of groups, identity deconstruction, oppression and oppressed groups and language, as well as wokeism. The list is really longer than that, but I limited it to those areas. I want to specifically speak to our SEL program, which I do support in a lot of ways, but when it comes to SEL, I just want to kind of talk about a few things. Technically speaking, it's the process of developing the self-awareness, self-control, and interpersonal skills that are vital for school, work, and life success, which we all agree upon. However, concepts mentioned above that earlier are often being infused into SEL lessons, and curriculum-based activists want to use the social focus of SEL to teach specific views of how social interactions should work. While it is possible to have SEL components included in schools and in an innocuous form, the reality is this, that today most SEL programs are being perverted by advocates to do more harm than good. It is important that we be aware of the fact that activists, as well as some teachers, counselors, as well as school psychologists and vendors outside of the school, of CEL programs are embedding their views on how society should work on the social aspect of social emotional learning. So we ask as a board that you make sure that companies AISD is hiring for CEL are not proponents of ideas mentioned earlier. And we want to also have you guys look into the data that's being collected on our children through questionnaires and find out where is that information going. Is it going to a third party outside of the school, or is it going to any type of government agencies tracking what our kids are feeling on a social level? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Brittany Prater.
Hi, I would like to piggyback a little bit on what my husband talked about with the curriculum. Last year in English class, my 10th grade son was asked to choose from 6 novels, and we were going to purchase one of those books so he could do a project on. When he was halfway through the novel, he brought it to my attention that it had some weird things in it. So that night when he went to bed, I read the entire thing, and I was so disturbed that I actually called his English teacher the next day and just told her my son loved her class. I just had a few concerns about a novel he was reading, and she was great. She totally understood. She felt like the overall theme redeemed the book, but I told her that I wanted to kind of talk to the curriculum director at the school and just kind of figure out what is our process for these books entering our school, how do we get something removed if we find something's not appropriate. And so I made a meeting with Dr. Stieber, and we had a private meeting where I shared concerns over these books. In that meeting, I actually read excerpts of the book. I had them marked. Again, it was a very embarrassing process for both of us, and both of us were just like, oh my, she seemed very, concerned as well, took notes, did the whole thing with me. And I also mentioned that 5 of the 6 choices given, as I looked deeper into them, were also had concerning material, whether it was anti-police sentiment, extreme profanity, extreme violence, adultery with a married man, teens having sexual relations. All of these were themes in those books. So again, she was concerned about it. She took notes, did all the things. However, those novels all remain on the 10th grade reading list. These are choice books. These are choice novels. And that was kind of the essence of these are choices. And I asked for other choices, better uplifting choices to be brought on, which they did. However, those choices were left on there as well. So my son's choice book was The Absolute Diary of a Part-Time Indian. And it's on the banned book list, number 5. The excerpts I read that day, it's embarrassing to say this out loud, but I was trying to avoid doing this in front of the school board because I wanted to have that privately and hope that we would take that down. But now I need to tell you that the topics we discussed were masturbation, erections, boners, being aroused by a teacher, sexual innuendos between a 13-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy, and content dealing with being burned alive, anorexia, bulimia, alcoholism, desire to kill yourself, kill your parents, kill God, etc. I also shared that the author of this book had faced many accusations of sexual harassment and admitted that he had harmed several women and does not deny or dispute any claims against him. My husband followed up with an email that detailed our meeting and added this great point. In reading through the school handbook, we as parents want to reinforce the efforts being made to protect students against, listed in the handbook, sexual harassment, sexual advances, profanity, jokes, conversation of a sexual nature, using inappropriate language, written or spoken, inappropriate relations between students and teachers, etc., etc. As members of the community, we agree with these standards. We sign with our children. We say that we will uphold these. Yet we provide books and choices to students that the content is the very same thing that we're asking them not to do. So we're asking that the content of all books at Argyle ISD align with that information. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I apologize. David Mateus. Metis. I think this happened at a previous board meeting as well, where I mispronounced it. Mr. Hawksworth corrected me, so I apologize again.
It happens a lot.
No one's ever gotten it
He's
right.
never timely either.
My name is David Metis. I'm a resident here in Argyle. I have a freshman son and a 7th grade daughter. They go to the school. I really appreciate the opportunities to speak in front of you all tonight. I love that about our country. I love it about our community, that we can share our beliefs. And tonight I stand with Ms. Hawksworth and the things that she discussed, and the Praters and the things that they discussed. So I don't believe I need to go into the details. I think they did I think they spoke very eloquently to those One of the things that I just wanted to add is it seems like, and rightly so, it's one of the reasons why we love this district and one of the reasons why we support each and every one of you on this board, because you've done a tremendous job over the years of including the parents in our children's education. And the permission slips that you send home, I mean, if my daughter wants to go on a field trip to Sonic, I have to sign that she can do that. And so I support 100% that if there's something to do with the gender of my child being changed in the school, or a name or a pronoun and things like that, I would like to know about it. I believe that's my right to know that, and I don't believe that the school district or a teacher or someone within the school should be able to do that without my knowledge. So I just wanted to thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Misty, come on down.
Can she have his remaining time?
No carryovers.
No, for once I don't need it. Again, I'm Misty Metis, and I have the freshman and the 7th grader. Just my comments are short, and they are just, I believe that regarding the getting the parents' permission, I believe that's important. Even if my daughter wants to go by a nickname that's innocuous, I still want to know that as a parent. That's a discussion for me to have at home. I think that there's nothing that is going on in my child's life that anyone that has supervision over her needs to keep secret, unless that is something that they need to go to the police on. And if it's not something that you're actually taking to the local authorities on, then it should be an open communication between us on that. And so I'm just going to encourage all of you to hear that myself and many other parents, we want to know what's going on with our students. And I also, these are just great opportunities to educate our students on why are we in their lives, and what is my role as a parent? And it's ever changing. You'll hear from my son in a minute that he's starting to make his own choices and whatnot. And even so, I don't care if he's a senior and some of these things are going on. I am still responsible for him, and we're going to keep having these conversations. So instead of calling a parent it being a negative thing, it could be a real positive thing to get the right communication going on in some of these families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Bentley Metis.
Hi, I am Bentley. I'm a freshman at the high school, and it concerns me with some of the things that I walk around the hallways and see, because I'm just going to give you an example from last year. Me and my friends were just walking down the hallway, and we see this group of people who have these giant animal masks on, and we can't see who they are or what applies to them or anything like that. And it concerns me because as I went through the year, more and more and more people wore those things, and I feel like the school does a pretty good job of controlling that, and they tell the parents and get everybody involved in it, and it somewhat controls it, because I haven't seen as much of it this year, but I still see a little bit, and I'm glad that we're getting into it. But then there's also these people who want to change their sexuality and all this, and it doesn't really hurt me mentally, but it kind of concerns me with all the things that are going on in our society, and how I have to sometimes question if I'm a male or a female compared to all these other people. And that's just my thoughts on all that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Aaron Reed.
Hello, my name is Erin Reed. I've been an Argyle resident for about 10 years, and I have 6 kids, 3 of whom are in the district. As a parent, I found it's often difficult to navigate all the change in a constantly shifting culture. Finding a balance between healthy advancement while holding true to your own convictions can be tricky. But our job as parents and educators is to protect our children, first and foremost. We must not cower to the extreme minority. We must not compromise our own values at the altar of political agendas. We must not muddy the waters between what should be taught at school and what should be taught at home. Quickly, I'd like to ask those who are here tonight who stand in agreement with the Praters and the Middises and what we support to quickly stand. Just want to give you an idea of how many people are here in support of us. Thank you. Like Argyle ISD, what doesn't change is my commitment to kids, to my kids, to continue raising them to exude respect and integrity. AISD's mission is in part, and I quote, empowering students to become the ambitious, proficient, socially responsible citizens and leaders of tomorrow. We can raise ambitious, responsible leaders in an ever-changing world without compromising what has always defined Argyle as a town and as a school district. Our core values must remain consistent with the expectations of the community that you serve in order to maintain that relationship that the Middises were just talking about. As a district, we continue to value justice. We hold ourselves accountable. We do this best by all of our service organizations that we provide that serve others. These service organizations build these leaders of tomorrow. We value shared expectations by maintaining open communication with families and a commitment to the ideas of others, and we do this with grace, respect, and compassion. We value progress and inclusion, prioritizing an outlook that works together to create a better world, celebrating uniqueness and individualism. However, we must do this with maturity and respect, the mark of leaders, and most importantly, without compromising the importance of community and the high expectations of integrity. We value open-mindedness to new challenges and experiences without compromising truth or traditionalism, the values and respect for the culture that built this town and continues to make it exceptional. We can maintain a culture of love and compassion without compromising our values and integrity. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes public forum for everyone who signed up. Is there anyone in the audience that did not sign up that wishes to speak now? Okay. I want to thank you all for decorum and respect and how you presented your comments tonight. Appreciate it. So, all right. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve action items as discussed in closed session.
I'll move.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. McDade, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Rick, are you able to pull up donations? Okay. All right, for the September 22, 2022 donations, first one, AEBC, donation in the amount of $3,620 for Argyle High School locker room. AEBC donation in the amount of $7,680.75 for Argyle High School custom Nike baseball hats 2023 for the 2023 baseball team. The AEBC donation for $2,370 for Argyle High School wrestling boards. The Lions Club donated $166 to Argyle South Elementary for student supplies. Janine Phoenix from Therabody Corp donated 140 Theragun Elite massage guns to AISD Athletic Department. Do we need a dollar amount on that? Like, maybe, can we get a dollar amount on what a Theragun costs and just add it to the donations since we keep track of the dollar amount? 300 each. We'll let the secretary do the math real quick on that. 300. There's 140 of them.
42,000.
Yeah, it's $42,000. Is that right, Liz? Okay. I just want to make sure we're adding the dollar amount to that. So, okay, we'll go back. We're going to say roughly $42,000. Trish Sims, $204.72 for "In God We Trust" signs to be displayed at the Argyle South Elementary, Argyle West Elementary, Argyle Middle School, and Argyle High School. Tori Ryan, $95.57 for an "In God We Trust" sign to be displayed at Hilltop Elementary School. and we're gonna say total September donations will be $14,137.04 plus an estimated $42,000 for the 140 Theraguns.
They're estimated at 350 each.
350.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. That's $49,000 plus 14,137. Total September donations $63,137.04. Okay, top that October donations. This is a challenge for AEF if y'all are still back there. All right. Anyone have any questions or anything we need to bring up on the rest of the consent agenda? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. It's hard for me because I can't look at my Chromebook. Are you able to open the items, Rick?
Mm-hmm.
There was an item about raising the limit, not raising the limit, but giving approval for a few items that were over the $25,000 limit, and that was in the consent agenda. It felt like it should be an action item. Well, it doesn't. Aren't you asking for us to approve that?
I'm asking for you to approve that, and can we pull that up? But I'm not looking at it.
There you go. No, that's not it.
You'll have to make it a little bit bigger for me, I'm sorry. All right, so we had begun moving these to consent a few months ago, but we can move them back to.
Well, no, that's fine. It just seemed like you were asking.
We're asking for permission to exceed, we're not asking for permission to exceed our budget, we're asking for permission to purchase these items that are about $25,000.
Okay.
That were already included in the budget.
Are there? I'm sorry.
No, you want me to go through them?
No. I just have a question about, is the curriculum associates, is that the counseling curriculum that was put out recently? Or is that something different? No, it's not? Okay.
It's math, English, science, intervention.
Okay.
Materials.
I saw intervention made me think something else, so. Okay, I'm good.
Any other questions about the consent items?
I have a quick question, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring it up or not, but there was actually supposed to be another sign that was donated on that list. I brought two, and I just didn't want it to get lost. It was supposed to be for the admin building. So it's in the stack of them. So.
We got 6 signs, we did.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So it should be added to that second one where we have 1, there should be 2 there?
Correct.
But we definitely received 6, we counted.
Okay, thank you.
And we're having our maintenance department install them.
Okay, so that changes the price. Can we open the donations again? Thanks.
Doesn't change the price? Well, no, it doesn't. I think her price was for 2.
No, this says 1.
Yeah, it
No.
should just be 2.
And,
So is
right.
that price the total or for 1?
No, that's how much.
There should be 2.
Yeah, but 2 at $95.57.
Okay.
I think that's 2, but it says to be displayed at Hilltop, so you just want that to say, the value, I believe, is correct. You just want it to say to be displayed at Hilltop and administration.
They were 95 each, and there was.
Yeah, we're 95
I
off.
brought 2, and Trish said brought 4.
Well, see, then we've got the others that we got 4 at
Right.
50.
Trish has 4. Trish Sims 4.
Trish
and
got a
then-
better deal than you, by the
And
way.
then
Yeah, she
has
did.
2.
You figure out where Trish got hers.
Trish saying that hers were 95.57 each.
Yep. Plus 95. You think so? No.
Just say plus 95.
Craig, I'm gonna make sure we're accurate here. Wow. Sorry, this is math on the fly. Keep $63,232.61 as the total donations. All right. Any other questions about the consent items?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent items as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Dr. Bitter, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Deffenbaugh, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Okay. Can we go down, I think we're at construction report. No?
No, Jeff's not here, we're not, there's no
It
construction.
was empty when I.
We don't have a construction
Okay.
report.
All right, then we've got your report. Dr.
Okay.
Wright.
As of last Friday, after 24 days of instruction, we had 4,923 students. 620 of those are at Hilltop, 839 at West, 814 at South, 1,170 at middle school, and 1,480 at high school. This exceeds our October snapshot projection of 4,842. But we do have to keep in mind that our tuition pre-K students and our half-day on some eligible pre-K students are not counted in ADA. But as far as the students being here in the schools, they are definitely here. We have 255 emergent bilingual learners at this time. 255 is up from the 191 that we had at the end of last school year. Of these 255, 17 are at Hilltop, 46 at West, 121 at South, 47 at middle school, and 24 at high school. Collectively, the first 5 weeks of instruction have been smooth in the district this year. As far as the athletic activities that are going on, we have a 4-0 record in football. Volleyball has a district record of 2-1 and an overall record of 23-11. And Friday night took the team that was ranked first in the state of Texas to 5 sets in volleyball. Boys cross country won the regional preview in Lubbock, and Tyler Westrom broke the school 5K record with a 15:30. Girls cross country placed third at the regional preview in Lubbock. Team tennis defeated Colleyville Heritage 14-5 to take sole possession of first place in District 7 5A. The first tournament for boys golf will be September 23 and 4 at the I-30 Challenge in Rockwall. And girls golf, their first tournament will be the 23rd and 24th of September at Squaw Valley and Glenrose. So the transition from 4A to 5A is going well at this point. We're having an intruder audit, just as all school districts in Texas are. We haven't had ours yet. We did get our call from Region 11 that we would be having it. They called both the superintendent and the police chief when you have an AISD police department. Region 11 is sending a person who checks doors and also visitor and volunteer admission policies for the buildings. We'll have the audit this week or next because it's happening in September, and so it definitely has to happen before the end of September. Our high school committee has had 2 meetings and will meet twice in October, the 12th and the 26th. The next 4 lenses that the committee is going to be looking at will be finance, facilities, curriculum and instruction, and enrollment. The next meeting will be the enrollment look with Trent Smith, our researcher with Zonda Demographics being the presenter. All of our campuses will be observing Red Ribbon Week and stressing good decisions about drugs and alcohol. In November, we'll have a district-wide multicultural night at South to promote cultural awareness in the district. We did this last year, and it also promotes
cultural awareness and pride in diversity. It was very well attended last year at the 377 campus, and we're looking forward to that event again this year. The Lone Star Cup presentation is going to be the 21st of October at the Frisco Independence Game here in our stadium. This is the 12th Lone Star Cup for AISD and represents a record number of points at 168 for the Lone Star Cup. So we're feeling very, very good about our entry into 5A at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz, come up for our first action item.
So our first action is to consider acceptance of the certified tax rolls as certified by Denton Central Appraisal District. And if y'all remember, in our last meeting, we talked about that those rolls were later than normal. The DCAT has actually been late 2 out of the last 3 years. And we asked to wait and approve our tax rate at the September meeting, because our deadline to approve it is September 30th. Until we received those certified rolls, because the information that they were able to provide at the time in August, it's actually July 25th was their deadline, left us a pretty big gap between what they said was our high value and our low value, and we felt it was prudent to our taxpayers to actually wait on those values to come together a little bit more, closer to what they're certified. They have to be at 95% to certify. They reached that and sent us our certifieds, I believe, early last week. And if you haven't seen the news, DCAT is going through a leadership change at this point. We're hopeful that that change, with some potential, if they have some different budget changes to bring on staff, they're still working through that, could help our district or all the entities that are in DCAT to get our information on time and accurate. But for this is actually just approving the rolls as certified by the chief appraiser. And if you want to scroll down, or will the clicker go? Okay. So it's just a letter. There's 2 letters in there from Ms. McClure, and then if we'll go down, keep scrolling for some more pages. So the first part is approved totals. Those are totals that are not under protest. Keep going. The next few pages, we're going to get to review totals. Those totals are under protest still. And then we'll get to what's actually the grand totals, which is the number that they actually certified to us. So here you're looking at a net taxable of $4.1 billion, and a freeze adjusted taxable, which is actually how we figure our taxes receivable, of a little over $3.5 million there. We scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see there that they actually certified estimate was $4.1 billion there at the bottom of that page. So that's what we're asking you to certify or to approve tonight, the information from DCAD, and that's the first step in approving our tax rate at this point. Do you have any questions on that?
How does that compare to what we budgeted, or what you estimate forecast?
What we got in July.
As far as where we were at in our budget, the difference that the M&O side, the maintenance and operations, whether it's depending on where they came anywhere in there, the way the state funding formula works, it was either we were going to receive more on the tax side and less from state, or we would receive more on the tax side, more on the tax side, less from state, less from the tax side, more from state. So it's a balancing act. So I believe we're still, of course, at this point estimating our ADA, which is the other part of that state funding. And so we are looking at, by the second semester, with the combination of this information and our ADA after our first semester, being able to increase a little bit on our revenue, but due to the ADA of what we're projecting. The tax part of this is just an in and out on one. It's either less local, more state, more local, less state. So it's a dollar for dollar difference there. Okay. The big difference is on our INS, and this is where I wanted to hold off. Like we talked about in our bond campaign for the 2022 bond, we talked about going up $0.015 from 48.5 cents to 50 cents, and 50 cents being the high end on the INS rate. If this number had come in a little bit higher, we might have been able to shave off even a quarter of a penny, half a penny, whatever it may be. I felt like we needed to look and wait and see. But where it came in, we need to budget at 50 cents. and that's what we advertised during the bond campaign. So as far as what budget we have approved right now, it won't affect the budget as far as an increase overall or a decrease overall. It may change on the M&O side, local to state a little bit, and we're talking a little bit right now, if I were to do it today on estimated ADA, you're talking between 250 and 300,000 to do from local to state.
So not much.
But on the INS side, it did confirm that we need to go to 50 cents. So that was the big delays. We wanted to make sure that if we passed it, or we asked to approve a tax rate of 50 cents for INS, that we truly needed it, and that the values didn't go up enough that we couldn't shave off a little bit there. So I feel a little more comfortable that we waited on the certified values, and they did come in before our deadline of September 30th of having to approve a tax rate. Does that help answer your question on the?
Yes, thank you. I got a question. What were we last year, if you know, or certified tax, or values?
I do, I have that. Give me 1 second.
It
I'll
was
pull
under
up for you.
4. It was under 4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
A lot under.
Sorry, I lost a lot of these when our internet went down. I'm going back and opening them all up. Okay, so on the, this will be, the net taxable, that line there, we were looking at 4.1 billion. Last year, we were at 3.297. It
So
is
almost
a
$1 billion.
25%, a little over 25% increase. So
Almost $1
it's,
billion.
Yeah.
quite a bit of growth in our area. We've seen growth every single year. We've seen double-digit growth
That's crazy.
since, I believe, 2014. I believe the highest one up to this point, we were hovering around 18%, bounced back down to around 13% one year, and it still stayed in some steady growth. But this was a little over 25%. And if you look at the area and what the sales that were going on and the competitiveness, the new builds, the new properties, along with the market value of overall properties, it is quite a bit of growth.
Yeah, it's almost $1 billion in growth in 1 year.
It is very significant growth. Again, on our M&O side, the way the funding formula works, that's not gonna have an impact on our day-to-day operations. That's on our, on the tax rate, they actually mandate what that tax rate can do, and we were mandated to go down, and that's what's helping offset the increase in our INS. On the INS, what the growth could potentially do is impact future bond sales. It could impact when our bonding capacity might increase more than what we projected, because we did not use 25% growth in our estimates. We used a much lower number. And so we'll be rerunning those numbers with our financial advisors. They rerun it for us every year. Again, typically it's in end of July, early August, but we just got the data, so they'll be rerunning that for us. So that could impact, we have scheduled a bond sale, potential bond sale next summer, the second sale of our 2022 bond issue, and then we have a third sale scheduled for the summer after that. So those are the two that would impact in any future bonding capacity after that.
The number you had a screen, or when I looked at it, there's a percentage there that are still protesting their taxes.
That's correct.
Is that gonna be anything significant, or do you think that would impact us in any way?
I do not. We're within 95%. They can't certify until they get us there.
Okay.
And this is an every year thing, so there will be supplements that they provide us all year.
Okay.
Some years we get as many as 20-something supplements. Some years there's a little less, but as more information comes out, we get more. And we look at that, and every time they come out, see where we're at compared to our budget. Sometimes you'll see us throughout the year make some small adjustments between local and state, but it should not impact our overall budget as far as the M&O. INS, I've used a value that's in between the high and low value of what they've given us to try and come with the best option.
What's typical? I mean, I know the whole staffing issue and everything with DCAD. What traditionally has been a timeline for those protests to be over with, or?
It's required in state law that they certify values to us by July 25th. This year that did not happen.
Right.
Last year it did. The year before that it did not happen. In my history here with the district prior to that, those 3 years, they've always made it on July 25th.
Okay.
So I can't speak intelligently beyond about 10 years beyond that. But in that time frame, we've missed, or they've missed 2 of the last 3.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Liz? I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10A to accept the 2022 certified tax rolls.
So moved.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Matt Slayton, second. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Okay, this is actually action to approve the tax rate. And so this is the ordinance, and it is, thank you for making that figure for me. It is for $1.3976 on $100 valuation. It's 2 components. You've got the tax rate of 0.8976 on the M&O, and then you've got the 0.50 on the INS. There are 2 sentences in here that you'll notice are just a tad bit bigger type and bold. I mean, not bold, but all caps, and that is mandated again through the requirements of what we have to put in here, and they are a little confusing. So I'm just going to read them to you and go over it just a little bit. This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's tax rate. Okay? We're saying we're having a decrease in a tax rate. I can't change this wording, it has to be just like this. But what it means is we're going to raise more taxes because our values went up. So even though that rate is decreasing, the dollar value of the taxes that we're levying are increased. Okay, if we go to the next one, it says the tax rate will effectively be raised by 17% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations, M&O, on a $100,000 home by approximately negative $2.40. Again, I can't change the wording, and that we're required to go off of two ways to calculate here. The 17% comes from, we have to look at what they define as the effective rate, exactly the rate of taxes that would equal last year's amount. So what that raise may be, and there that percent increase or decrease. And then we have to look at it based on a $100,000 home. And so if you take a $100,000 home last year's tax rate versus a $100,000 home this year's tax rate, because we are slightly decreasing the tax rate, it is going to decrease on a $100,000 home by $2.40. And so it is a little bit convoluted there in how we have to word it, but it is a requirement and we can't change that. And we do have to follow the guidelines that they provide for us to calculate those.
My soapbox are mandating us to make a false statement in bold. Our tax rate itself has gone down. Our tax rate has gone down.
Our tax
But
rate
they're
has
saying
gone
we're
down.
raised it by 17%.
That's right. And I will tell you that after this is approved tomorrow, at some point, we do have to put this on our website, those 2 statements.
Can
Who
we
is the
make sure?
governing
Can
board
we-
that
can-
dictates this?
Hey, Rick, on the website, can we make sure that the spacing has the negative closer over there?
To
It
the
doesn't
number.
look like a hyphen.
Yeah.
Cool.
We can make sure it looks a little bit better on the website. So, can we pull up the PowerPoint? So we may have gone over most of that already. I do have just a couple of slides here. The main thing I wanted to go over the ordinance here, at least in my PowerPoint, I didn't have to capitalize everything, but it's the same thing that we just read off of the deal. Again, it does not mean the overall tax rate will increase. It compares to a tax rate that produces the same property tax revenue as the previous year. It does not account for state funding anywhere in the calculations, and the total tax rate decrease of 0.0024, and that's how we got the $2.40 on 100,000. And this is a little chart of our tax rates since 17-18. I had a much better chart, but when you put all of those years together on one little slide, you can't really see as much. So I believe on our website we actually have it where it goes back many more years, and you can see the decline coming through. And it's very hard to tell the decline between 21-22 and 22-23 when you're looking at 0.0024, but there is a slight decrease from last year, and it just kind of gives you a history broken out between M&O and INS and a total tax rate. And so I would ask for you tonight, if you have any questions, that we discuss it now, but I'm going to ask for you to approve the total tax rate by the ordinance that's presented.
I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10B as presented.
Motion to approve item 10B as presented.
Mr. Western, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Deffenbaugh, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Okay, I will say that typically September, I don't have many action items, and I have to apologize in advance, delaying the tax rate. Put that in here, and we typically can wait till October sometimes on our first budget amendment, but we have not. So this budget amendment, and I don't want you to freak out when you see this, an overall increase in our deficit. But these are 3 items, and they were large dollar amount items that were approved in last year's budget, but they were not completed in time prior to 8/31. So that expense comes into this year's budget. So what happens is those dollars go into fund balance from last year. So when we get our final reports, they'll be presented to you in December. We're working on those now. They'll be audited. I believe our auditors come next week sometime, and they'll work on those and present to you in December's board meeting. But those funds that were unused for these projects will go into fund balance, and we're asking you to use those fund balance this year to allocate that to finish these projects that were already approved from last year. So it's just moving the money from one budget year to the next budget year, but it does, the way it shows, it increases our overall deficit. And we'll get down. Can I move it? Thank you. There's no change in revenue at this point. We're a little too early in the fiscal year for that. We'll keep going down. All right, there we go. There's our change in what we're requesting in our expenditures. So function 34, student transportation, there was a project with Zonar that was approved at a certain dollar amount. Only part of that project had been completed prior to 8/31, so the remaining dollar amount we're asking to include in this year's function 34 because those weren't allocated in this year's budget. Function 51 was actually moving the band tower, which actually completed, I believe, last week or the week before. It was moved from where the actual the practice field parking lot at 377 campus. It is now over here at this stadium. It keeps our band from having to travel over to the turf at the field and 377 a couple times a week to practice with that tower up there. They actually can stay here on our campus and practice and only go when they actually want to stay now. And then under function 81, the facilities, that was the unit at Hilltop that went out. It was a rather large, I believe it was like a 40-ton unit. And it was just under $100,000, and that did not come in prior to 8/31, and that project is still ongoing. So those are the 3 items that we're asking to increase the budget deficit for. Again, those funds were approved last year, they're unspent, and will be brought forward.
So we came in under budget last year.
We did come in under budget. I don't have a good number for you right now. I'll have a better number for you in October. We've got several large items that we're still posting. We're still gathering all of our invoices. Any of those that completed dated prior to year end, we'll go back and we'll post those to last year. And that's a process we do every September. We also have some entries left to do on year end for the days, the student days in August, the staff days worked in August, accruing those expenses and accruing that revenue. Those are the large items that will affect our M&O side. And we'll have most of that finished and finalized by the time the auditors show up next week, which will give us a better idea to bring a number to you. Anything I tell you today still has large items still outstanding. But we did finish in the positive for last year. It will not be enough to cover the deficit that we started this year with, but we are working on that.
But
I'm not
ADA,
talking about that.
Yeah, our ADA
ADA
is
make
trending towards being better than what we budgeted for. Our attendance as of last week was back to almost pre-COVID levels, which works very well with our student enrollment.
right. You want to have any other questions for Liz on this budget amendment? I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10C as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Matt Slayton, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. McDade, second. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Okay, so historically, we've asked you to improve investment policies, I believe in either November or December board meeting. And for the since prior to me coming here 10 years ago, we only had our depository and one government pool that we've kept our investments in. With the sale of this last bond sale and having money still in the bank from the 2017 bond that we're actively working on, and $117 million from the 222 bond sale that we just issued, all of those funds are in 2 places, depository and one government pool. So we're asking to add a second government pool. We're gonna probably ask for a couple more along the way over the next few months as we research others, in order to diversify our investments. The Logic pool, both of the pools that we have, the one that we're in right now is Techstar, and it's run by Hilltop Securities. They're one of our bond underwriters, if y'all recognize that name. So that's the pool that's been approved for years and years here. And to kind of give you an idea, the rate history on that, in August, the rate there was 1.9469%. Logic is another pool that is run by the same company, Hilltop Securities, but it would require an additional authorization by the board, even though it's the same company, because it is a separate pool with them. Their interest rate in August was 2.1619. And so it's very close in rate, but the purpose is to diversify where we have our funds. And that any of our investments, any authorized user on there, whether it's myself, Dr. Wright, any board member that's on these signature cards, we are not allowed to send any money outside of any district account. We can move between accounts, so we can draw down into our bank account as we're issuing checks, but any expenditures going out have to be in the approved budget, and anything over a certain dollar amount has to be approved by y'all. So this is not authorizing us to expend any funds, it's just authorizing us to transfer something to an additional investment with different interest rates.
And when you say investment account, most of us start thinking about stocks and stuff, but this is guaranteed rates or funds or whatever else, so we're not going to lose money.
They're not guaranteed rates. They do fluctuate, but they are through government pools, so we're limited by state investment policy and also local investment policy by what we can and can't invest in, and cannot invest in. This meets both of those requirements, as does the Techstar that we're in. The main difference in these two is this one has a small amount of commercial paper in it, which is why it has a little bit higher of interest rate on it. Otherwise, they're both the same types of investment pools.
And so we put our bond money in there, and what else?
Until we pull from it?
Until we pull from it. Well, we manage that with our bank depository. We have a limit of what we can earn, what they can actually collateralize for us. They offer $50 million to us. So between all of our different funds, the biggest ones we've got, bond funds is by far the largest now with $117 million sale in there. And then we have our general fund. Then we also have our interest and sinking fund. And then we have our construction actual checking account that's in there. So there's 4 different accounts on the depository side. And so we try and manage that because they do guarantee a rate compared to these. And so we try and keep funds closer to the $50 million right there when they're earning good interest rates. That's where all of our expenses are going out of in those 4 different accounts. And then we balance that out. Our only choice up to this point, if you do approve this, has been the one investment pool. So any balance beyond that depository was in that one investment pool. We're just asking to move that between 2 and split those funds out, so we don't have all of our funds in the one investment. Or actually, it's 2 when you count our depository bank.
Where does the interest go?
The interest goes directly back to that account, and those are budgeted line items. So if you look at our general fund budget, there is a line item for interest rate. Same thing with construction. Same thing with let's go back to the 4 different bank accounts that are earning interest. So you have your M&O fund, which is earning interest from the depository and any investment pool. Any interest that's earned on those accounts go directly back into that, and we do budget funds for that. You have our construction, which has, that's going to be our bond funds that are in investment and in checking. All money that's earned on those accounts go directly towards that. So that's how sometimes we have unallocated funds in our construction amounts. For example, the 2017 bond, we had some additional funds. Some of that is interest rates, and we track that each month. Then you have your INS, which is our interest in sinking. That's where we pay our bonds out of. Any money earned on that money goes directly back into that account. So any funds earned that go directly and tied directly to the account they were earned in.
And reinvested in it until it's pulled out?
That's correct.
Does RBC advise on that, or is it just Hilltop telling you giving you the options?
Right now, it's just Hilltop. We have not used RBC in the past as far as investments.
For that, just for bond?
And right now, Hilltop they're the ones behind both of these pools.
Okay.
So, there are many other pools out there, there's many other options out there, to us under our investment policies. But right now, they happen to have both of these.
Okay.
And so we're looking at, like I say, just a way to diversify so everything's not in one place.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10D as presented.
Motion to approve item 10D as presented.
Mr. Western, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hawksworth, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Liz. It's like the
Okay.
Liz action item night.
Telling you. Maybe next month it won't be as busy. Okay, this next one is for a requested change in our CH local policy. And the main focus of this is the second part down there in blue. We're gonna come back to the top part here in a minute. The main focus of this is for the micro purchasing threshold. And we're asking that you delegate that authority to the superintendent to self-certify the micro purchasing threshold for federally funded purchases to the extent allowed by law. Purchases must be approved in accordance with the provisions at purchasing authority above. So what this is every year we can self-certify to TEA that we are self-certifying our micro purchasing threshold for all of our federal funds. Well, up until recently, we didn't have very many federal funds. This didn't really apply to us much, but now that we do, we have our own special education department, so those federal funds that are associated flow directly to us. We also have EDGAR supplemental funds that are left over from our, we had EDGAR 1, we went to EDGAR 2, then EDGAR 3, and EDGAR supplemental is the only remaining funds for us this year. And then we always have our Title I funds, but historically, those have gone towards salaries and not towards actual purchases. So again, we weren't purchasing with those. So what this does is it says that if we don't do this, we're at $10,000 across all federal funds aggregately for the entire fiscal year. So anything above that $10,000 limit, and I don't mean one purchase, I mean every purchase added together in any federal fund, once we hit that limit, then we were tied by different rules. And so we're just asking that you allow us to self-certify to TEA and delegate that authority to the superintendent that we can go up to our own limits by law, which I believe the law allows you to go up to $49,999, just under $50,000. Ours is limited to, I believe, $25,000 by board policy that stayed a little bit before this. So before we move to the other part, I want to make sure if we have any questions on this.
It means we both pass. You mentioned Edgar 1, 2, 3 and supplemental.
Mm-hmm.
Is that different than ESSER 1, 2, 3 and supplemental?
Same thing. So
Okay.
sorry, Esther's 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
supplemental, Edgar are the policies that
Yeah.
were in there.
Okay.
Different acronym, same thing.
So basically what you're asking
School.
in that
It's
regard
Texas education agency, right?
is that the self-certified number is actually 25,000 for us.
Right, if you delegate that to the superintendent, that we can self-certify to TEA.
But right now it's pretty blank, she can decide what that number should be, but we're saying that it's 25,000.
Well,
Policy
without
sets the
any change to policy, we're limited to the 10,000 by law.
Okay.
We're asking that you allow it to delegate it to the superintendent. And this did go through TASB. This is coming from the feds, TEA, and then TASB helped write the policy in here. And we have, I believe, until sometime in October to actually send in the self-certification. So that's why it's on this meeting. And it is an annual process that we are required to do, but you would only have to change the policy one time. Now, these up here in the top are actually when I was looking at other local policies, CH local policies, and looking at some of the exceptions that were written in several of the districts surrounding us. Many of these districts have these examples here. So I've asked to put these in. Again, I want to point out that the main focus of this change tonight, if we have anything that we do or don't want to do, is the micro purchasing threshold, okay? But these are things that we would like to ask for. So a purchase made pursuant to board-approved interlocal contract in accordance with law. I'm going to give you an example. Last year, we had some PT and some VI that were contracted out to the special ed co-op that we were no longer members of. You approved that interlocal agreement, we budgeted those funds, you approved the budget. The bill comes in at the end of the semester, after the semester is already complete, it's over $25,000. we can't pay the bill yet because our limit is $25,000. We still gotta come back to the board and ask, even though it was already in the budget. Interlocal agreement was approved by you and the budget was approved by you. This would give us an exception that if you had an interlocal agreement already that the board had approved, that we were allowed to pay that invoice. We still couldn't pay the invoice if it went beyond our budget. We needed a budget amendment. We'd still have to come back to you first. But this would just make an exception for us on that $25,000 limit, that if we met those other requirements, we could go ahead and pay that invoice.
Up to 50.
Uh,
Or up to 49.
Up to the budget.
Up to the budget.
Approved budget.
Different than the micro purchasing.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the others, let's see, a purchase made through a cooperative purchasing program or state purchasing program that satisfies the district's obligation for competitive purchasing and references you back to CH Legal. And so this is saying that as long as we followed a cooperative purchasing and we followed all the legal requirements, it's within our budget, we aren't doing anything else that the superintendent and delegated down could approve that without coming back to the board. Continuing or periodic purchase under a board approved bid or contract. Can we pull back up the $25,000 from the consent agenda? There is one in here that I want to point out. It's our student software. We have that student software. We have to have some form of student software every single year. We've stuck with the same student software. It's over $25,000. It was in the approved budget already at the amount that we knew we needed. And so it wasn't outside of our budgeted range. It is a component continuing agreement that we have. But again, it's still listed in here for you to approve because it's $35,000. If you allow that exception, this would no longer come to you for approval unless it went outside of the budget.
Outside of the budget.
Right, things like that. So can we go back?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm making Rick work a little bit here.
Okay.
The CH level, yeah. Okay, a purchase of produce or fuel, those are standard in just about any other purchasing policies that I could find. So I'm gonna give you an example. Our fuel tanks get low, depending on the price of fuel that day, and we have our tanks filled. Depends on how much we're actually paying for that. Fortunately, we haven't hit anything close to $25,000 on that as we grow, and we may have to add more tanks. Those could. I don't see us ever having produce hitting over $25,000 at a time, but that was the standard terminology in there. And so that's why I had that put in there, because when we go to request the fuel for our tanks again, within our budget, it's within there, but depending on the price and the fluctuation, if we ever get to a point where we're over budget or getting close to over budget on our fuel costs, we have to stop and come back to the board and ask for an increase there. So those are the exceptions that I've asked to put in there, along with the micro purchasing. Again, the micro purchasing is our main thing for tonight. If you're okay with the 4 exceptions or any or all, remove, take out.
So Liz, historically, you've been comfortable with those limits. Are you saying just because everything's more expensive now, you're seeing more things hit that limit that normally wouldn't?
We are seeing it's the expense and the size of our district.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the student software. It's typically done by number of students. Just like our business software is done based on a range and number of students. We just haven't hit that limit yet, but we will in the next few years. So as we grow versus the cost of things are getting more expensive for us. And so some of these exceptions that we found listed in other district policies we felt may be pertinent to us, just as an operations standpoint.
Any other questions for Liz? I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10E as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hawksworth, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deffenbaugh, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Since Joe's not here,
I thought we did
Tommy
this.
Ledward's going to be presenting Jeanette.
I thought we did this.
No, we did a test. We approved it.
Oh, that's what it was.
No, just approved. Yes, it's there.
Yeah. I thought we'd already approved this. I was like, no, we approved the test.
approved the testing.
Which confirmed.
We did approve the test.
Now we have to pay for it.
Now we
July,
gotta pay
right?
for it. Okay.
So we have had them tested all site, or pretty much every aspect of both buildings. And we come up with 3 places that have asbestos, 2 that we knew about and 1 that we didn't. The one that we didn't was the glazing and the old windows of the 66 part of the building. So we were gonna replace the windows anyway, so we're just gonna do that when.
Now we're gonna wear some suits to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll take care of that with, the 2017 bond. And at this time, we're requesting that you guys consider the approval of the $50,000 that it would cost to take care of those 3 sites.
So we don't have a price. It's
What's
just
the
not
actual
to
bid?
exceed.
It's a not to exceed
So
50.
it's less.
He does have a price,
Oh.
and he's left some in there in case they get in there and find a little bit more.
Okay.
It allows the project to continue.
Okay.
That's the purpose of the maximum not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Okay.
So does this include the cost of the windows? Or just the
No.
process?
It does not.
Okay.
That would be nice, though.
So this is above and beyond?
It is.
Okay.
It's just to haul them off.
This is a surprise. You found this. Now you get to pay for it.
But to your knowledge, was this gonna be the last of the asbestos issue?
It is.
Yeah.
In the entire district, that's
In
all the
entire district,
asbestos.
For sure. To our knowledge, the best of our knowledge, there's nothing that has been
As best as they
installed
know.
with
As best as they know.
It's encapsulated right now.
And we've done a
That's
lot of
good.
testing.
And
Yeah.
remind me, is this the warehouse and the archery building, is that what we're talking about here? or is
No,
there
it's
other-
the cafeteria at AIS and the science lab in the, where we were in the.
Okay, so it's
emergency
actually gonna
room.
be usable space, yeah. Okay.
1990.
We already did the entire asbestos abatement on that gym, which became the warehouse, and also on the archery arena.
Okay.
This is the best time to do it when we're not using.
No
the-
one's there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10F as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Matt Slayton, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Westrom, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
On a related subject, when are we gonna start construction over there at AIS? For the,
As soon as the asbestos is gone.
Yeah, that's gotta be done first.
Not before that. We have plans.
we need to have that ready for 2023, don't we?
Still gotta go out.
We will have it ready for
It hasn't been bid
2023, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Particularly, we have the round building, there's not a lot to do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that will be ready.
I feel lucky I get to go last. So these
Yeah.
are cameras that we need within the district for cameras that are currently out, and some additional cameras that this provides a stopgap fix until we put the entire project out to bid for replacing Argyle West, Hilltop Elementary, and the middle school, all of those older camera systems. If you remember in phase 2, we did take out or in phase 1, when phase 2 was going on, we took out the old cameras in the phase 1 part so that we could get by for a little while. We've gone through all of those cameras, and we have some that are down now that we do not have anything for, since we already have money budgeted in the latest bond for security specifically for this and door systems. It makes sense, even though it will be kind of an annoyance to have 2 systems at some locations, to go ahead and put in the cameras that follow the system that we've been using and we've gone with, rather than buy something that is only gonna work out for us for a couple of months and then have to be replaced anyway.
Is this 22 bond funds or 17? 22.
22.
Okay.
There's a $1 million line item specifically for security camera and physical access replacements.
What's the timing to do the actual, I guess, RFP for the cameras? for
So
those?
Jeff and I will be working on that. We can hopefully release it within the next 2 months, and it will definitely, barring any
Over holiday
strange
break.
circumstances, will be done during the school year.
So Greg, obviously, we need security cameras. But I'm looking at this, it's 24 cameras, about $2,000 a piece. I can go buy a Blink camera, indoor, outdoor, internet connected for $100. What are we getting at with that?
So we have advanced AI search features. For one, it integrates with our door systems. So for instance, when somebody badges in, the cameras work with that system to retain a picture and video of whoever badged in or whoever went through that door. There are additional features where you can implement car license plate detection. I'm trying to think what all a lot of it is the integration, the usefulness of it, and any of the campuses that are using it in high school now, I think they'll tell you how easy it is to now track down what's going on those campuses compared to just run-of-the-mill systems. We did evaluate, I believe, 4 systems in total when we did start moving to this new system, and this was by far going to give us the most advantage in what we needed to know what's going on the campuses.
But you're talking about Verkada.
Correct.
This is, what you're buying is not Verkada.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was what the RFP was gonna be.
It is, but this is the stopgap fix effectively to buy a handful of
Okay,
them.
okay.
So that we're not buying something now, because we have the need now to
Okay,
know.
I thought you were just
monitor.
buying something off the shelf to plug in.
No.
Until the RFP went out. Okay.
And so an additional thing, this is for a 10-year license. So not only is it the license that you get, but it's also the repair and replacement of any camera that does go down within that 10-year period. So we've had, since we started using this system, I think 2 cameras that have gone out, and I have them next day, and we're able to put them back up and have them running again.
Any other questions for Greg? I'll entertain a motion to approve action item 10G as presented.
So moved.
Dr. McDade, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Matt Slayton, second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. So at this time, we're done with action for the evening, but the board is going to adjourn to executive session. We're not gonna come back and take any further action, so welcome to
You're free to
stay.
hang out if you
You're
want.
free to hang out, but there's nothing else to be said, so.
I think the cake's gone too.
The cake, 8:56
Or the cookies.
PM.